I'm First Lieutenant Campbell. I'm a social worker here at Fort Campbell, and with me here is Major Kara Petrovsky, who's the social worker for 5th Special Forces Group. Thank you so much for coming and being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to start with just tell me a little bit about yourself and your career so far.
So I enlisted in 2004 into the Army Reserves. I started off as a 42 Alpha. I got my Bachelor's of Social Work degree and decided that I wanted to do something in the military that was more in line with my civilian education. So I reclassed and became a 68 X-ray behavioral health tech.
Okay.
I did my first deployment with the 467th COSC out of Madison, Wisconsin to Afghanistan, and that was really when I decided that I wanted to go back to school, pursue my MSW, eventually get my LCSW, and luckily enough, that was the same year that the Army's MSW program was standing up. So I was able to apply, got accepted, and went to school 2012. As part of an advanced standing program that they were sort of trying out at the time. So I graduated in 2012, same year I started, and then went on to do my social work internship at Landstuhl, which is, of course, no longer a site, so I'm really dating myself with all this information. Yeah. And then from there, got my license, was assigned as the 10th Mountain Division Sustainment Brigade BHO at Fort Drum for 3 years. Okay. And from there, PCS'd here to Fort Campbell. I've been with 5th Special Forces Group as their behavioral health officer / deputy clinical OIC of the ABH for about 4 years now.
Okay, that's a pretty exciting journey so far.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've enjoyed it.
So I guess my first question is, what inspired you to become a social worker?
I think I've always been an empathetic person. I always wanted to be doing something where at the end of the day I felt good about what I was putting out in the world, that I was making lives better, and not just doing something out of motivation for a paycheck or, I wanted to not be in a job. I wanted to have a career, I guess. Okay. So I didn't really know what that looked like when I was in college, which is where the Army really helped me get some sense of direction and figure out what it was I wanted to do with my life. And just happened to take a history class and learn about Jane Addams and sort of the founding of social work as a profession in the U.S., and that really inspired me. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I think that's what I want to do with my life.
Okay. That's pretty awesome. And how did you come to choose the Army as your employer, as opposed to other branches or the civilian sector?
Well, I was already in the Army Reserves, so it made the decision pretty easy. Just go with what I knew. As far as staying, the opportunities that it offers are just, you just don't get them elsewhere.
Okay.
It was nice I'm not going to lie, it was nice to be paid to go to school and to receive my license. It took a lot of the burden that some of our civilian counterparts have off my shoulders, so I could really focus on the work and learning and not be stressed out about financial stuff. The whole reason I chose the Army initially when I was in college was because I was 20 years old and I needed some direction, and the Army recruiter came knocking. But it was the right decision. So.
Okay, and I'm glad you're hitting on some of the points that I'm about to ask you next. Is what unique experiences do you think the Army provides to social workers? Something that we may not be able to get in the civilian workforce.
I just think the variety that we get exposed to, especially in our social work internship while we're working towards our license, we really get to experience multiple facets of the social work profession. Whereas on the civilian side, it's I think a little more difficult to get those experiences, especially when you're pre-license. So there's certain areas where I really enjoyed working in. There's other ones that were more of a challenge, but all the experience that it provided was really, really beneficial.
Okay. And have you received any valuable words of encouragement that kind of helped you to stay in the military and push with your career?
So many that I can't think of any specifically. I've been so lucky. I've had really great mentorship. Early on in my career, I had a supervisor tell me, you know, you're not going to be able to save everyone. You're not going to make it worse.
Right.
And I think that that's really just a really important lesson for a new social worker, because we do often take on what our clients are going through. We take that home with us. We take it home to our families. It really helped me. I think it helped push me through some challenging situations, knowing that at the end of the day, you know, I'm just a person in a uniform doing my best, and I can only do so much for somebody. Just learning to have boundaries was really helpful. In terms of staying in the military, it was never really a doubt in my mind that I would stick it out. Once I got into the program and was licensed, I knew that I was going to stay for 20 at least.
Okay, that's awesome. I mean, you're pretty ambitious, even like you said, since your 68 X-ray days, you had certain goals that you wanted to reach, and that's what got you here. So my next question is, when you were a 68 X-ray and pursuing your bachelor's degree and your master's degree, where did you hope your career would take you? Where did you hope you would end up career-wise?
I was trying to be very open-minded with that.
Okay.
And I'm glad for that, because when I was going through the program, the opportunities that exist now for social workers weren't actually a possibility. The position I'm in right now was not something that was even available when I was first going through the program. So I always knew I wanted to work with trauma. I wanted to work with combat soldiers. I wanted to deploy again, because I'd had a really positive experience during my first deployment. And I've gotten to do all of those things. And I've also gotten to do other things that I never anticipated I'd get to do as a social worker, like deploying with a special forces unit, going to SEER school, all of those things. So I don't know that I had specific goals. I think I tried to keep an open mind, and I knew the population that I wanted to eventually be working with, and I was able to do it. So.
Right, taking on the opportunities.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, that's awesome. Why do you believe Army social workers are valuable?
Because they are.
Okay.
Because what we do is very important. We fall into a generation of veterans who all we've ever known is large-scale conflict going on. And a lot of our patient population, that's all they've ever known. And really, it's the first generation of veterans that can say that, where it's just been, on repeat for their entire careers. The possibility to deploying, coming home from deployment, readjusting to what but family life, and then preparing to do it all over again. So there's a great need for behavioral health care. And I think social workers, coming from the perspective that we do of the person and environment and the strengths-based approach, we really bring a lot to these people who've been through so much. And so it's just one of the most, I think, rewarding career fields you can be in.
I definitely agree.
I'm not biased at all, but the work we do is very important, and the people that we're working with need us, and it's an honor to be able to do it. Do the job.
Yeah. What type of impact do you think you have made on units, soldiers, or command teams so far in your career?
I'd like to think that I have been able to really sell the capabilities and the benefits of getting early intervention to soldiers and to commands. There's a stigma that still exists for many, that getting help is going to sideline their career, opportunities, or it's going to take them out of the fight. And we want to get away from that. We want that not to be the first expectation that people have. So I'd like to think that in my assignments, I try to do a lot of outreach, a lot of education. I try to just be an approachable person and be proactive. And I'd like to think that I've been a part of some of that change in some of these units, or at least for some individuals who maybe were not open to it before and are now.
And I agree. I mean, that's a lasting impact that we can make as social workers. I definitely agree with you on that. What would you say your goals are for the rest of your military career, however that long that may be?
I am coming up on the end here.
Okay.
I just hit 18 years, so I am very excited for my next assignment, which will be the Director of Training for the SWIP program at Fort Bliss. So just looking forward to mentoring and supervising and hopefully passing on some worthwhile guidance to future social workers, being that positive role model to them that I had. And then beyond that, we'll see.
Okay.
Retirement, I think.
Right. So it seems like career-wise, your career is coming to a full circle, right? You started as a SWIP intern, and you went on so many adventures in the military, and now you're going to be heading, that SWIP program for the new incoming interns. So it's kind of a full circle of life, right?
It is.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
It's exciting.
That's awesome. So with that being said, how has mentoring junior social workers been for you so far?
It's one of my favorite things about the job. Something that really just in the last couple of years, working with the SWIPs here in didactic training, getting to actually supervise SWIPs directly in my current role and in my previous assignment. It's just something that it's so important. It's such a critical part of our profession to give back and to steward along the next generation and make sure that they're getting what they need and they're feeling supported. And it's a tough job. So it's one of my favorite things. And now I'm very excited that it's really what I'm going to be doing as my next job.
Right.
So.
Okay, great. Now, taking you back to the beginning of your career, what would you say is the benefits of joining active duty versus staying in the reserves or in the National Guard?
Both have their advantages and disadvantages. For me, going active duty at the time was the only option. The MSW program was not available to the reserves, and I don't know if that's still the case or not. It was available to the National Guard. So it was the only option, and I mean, obviously, the benefits of staying active duty is I've got to move around, live in different parts of the country, live abroad, deploy, raise my children in, diverse environments, just really get a lot of different life experiences, both within the profession and just personally. Not to say that can't happen in the reserves, but the reserves has its advantages too. If being away from support system is too difficult, having opportunities in your local community to work in the field that you want to. But for me, it was the right choice. I'm glad to be on active duty. I'd do it again.
Yeah, great.
If I was young.
I mean, this is very helpful to other soldiers who might be listening and watching and want to try out the route that you've taken to get to here. What type of trainings does the Army offer to its social workers that they may not find elsewhere?
That's difficult to answer because I've spent the last 10 years in the Army. But the access to evidence-based training in the Army is it's excellent. And I'm so thankful for all of the courses that the Army has put me through to help me better, deliver treatment to my patients. Especially if, you're wanting to focus on trauma. We do lots of training in different modalities for treating trauma. So I've really appreciated that. And then we also get to do, some non-clinical type training or go to, cool schools as our schedules allow, which you just don't get on the civilian side either. No. I doubt very much I would have ever gone to SEER school.
Definitely, I agree with you.
On the civilian side.
Right.
So
I mean, some of these experiences are kind of once in a lifetime experiences that you really will not get anywhere else. And you get to do that for free.
Exactly.
And I agree with you with the evidence-based treatment. These are treatment, trainings that people pay thousands of dollars to
Absolutely.
get these treatment.
Yes, and we
trainings.
get them sort of coordinated and available to us at no charge.
Right.
Oftentimes, right here where we're stationed. I mean, I went to majority of my evidence-based trauma treatment trainings. It's a mouthful. In Germany, you know, I'm in Bavaria, learning about post-traumatic stress disorder. And so, I mean, you don't have access to stuff like that, I don't think, as readily on the civilian side.
So as we are coming close to the end of our interview, what is your advice to new interns like myself, or even individuals who are thinking about applying to the MSW program or the SWIP internship?
If they're thinking about applying, if they think this is the direction that they want to go, I'd say do it. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Right. It's a really great opportunity to learn a lot. And from just a financial aspect, it really eases the burden of putting yourself through grad school, and you will get opportunities and trainings and things that it's hard to say no.
Right.
I would say for the current interns and junior social workers, be humble. Never be afraid to ask questions and seek consultation. We don't know it all. I don't know it all. I'm constantly seeking feedback when I feel like I need it or I feel like I'm stuck. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually, one of the best parts of the job is just kind of learning from my peers and my supervisors, figuring out what I don't know and how I can do better. Right. And I would say too, don't get discouraged. It's a tough job. Like that supervisor told me a long time ago, you're not going to be able to fix everyone. You're not going to make it worse. You tried your best, and at the end of the day, if you tried your best, then you should feel good about what you did. And understand that it's not always going to go the way you want it to, and sometimes you'll get, patients who really express their appreciation for you, and sometimes you get the opposite of that, and it's okay, and don't get discouraged, because for every negative experience I've had, I've had at least twice as many positive that just remind me every day why I do this job. So
kind of reaffirm.
Absolutely.
The faith in that. Right. Okay.
Yes.
Well, Major Petrosky, thank you so much for coming in here and sharing your expertise and your life experience so far in your military career. Good luck on your retirement, and good luck on your next assignment as well.
Thank you
so
as well.
much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.